Ladies and gentlemen, we want you to stand and we want you to make some noise.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's go racing here at Knoxville.
Only the best go three abreast.
It is show time at Williams Grove Speedway.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here at Eldora Speedway, it's showtime!
You got them for a rep. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the world of Outlaws.
It's time to sit back, relax, and enjoy because, ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime!
Set to do battle for 30 laps. The green flag is waving.
Hello again, it's Wing Nation presented by Sage Fruit. Talking sprint car racing, our favorite time of the week, and we are so glad that you have joined us. Steve Post in our Wing Nation Concord, North Carolina studios, joining us from our Lethal Chassis studios in Pennsylvania, Ashley Stremme. Hello, Ashley, how are you?
I'm great, Steve. It's still really hot here in the state of Pennsylvania, but at least we've been not having any of the R word with rain lately. So
Man, I'm telling you, it is brutal everywhere we go. Just really crazy, but good times, good stuff. I was actually up in the area and did a little micro racing. Went to Kutztown and Hamlin Speedways this past weekend. It was fun, really fun. It's real dynamic there. Kutztown is like the mecca of 600 micro racing in central Pennsylvania. And Hamlin is just where every family member gets together, and Grandpa and Auntie Sue are working on niece Julie's race car. And it is just Hamlin. It's as good as I knew Kutztown was going to be. Hamlin was so charming and so fun. It's just really cool, and all part of the sprint car open wheel culture up in central Pennsylvania, and it is good. That's for sure.
Yeah, Kutztown's amazing. What they do there is incredible. I've never been to Hamlin. I need to put that on my bucket list. I haven't checked that place out, but Kutztown definitely has it going on there.
Take a lawn chair and a cooler with some soda pop and sit down and just watch kids race and people race and have a good time. That's what it boils down to. And it was a very, very fun time. Really, really good stuff. That's for sure. And good stuff for sure for the Kubota High Limit Racing Series. We'll talk a little bit about the race, but Ashley, and I'm sporting the shirt. I got the Dean Niddle shirt on. What Jeff Niddle does, I think this is our annual conversation. What Jeff Niddle does with the race in honor and memorial of his father is absolutely amazing.
It is. I've known Jeff back before he even started the memorial race, and Jeff is just a good old guy who loves sprint car racing, and he's always been involved at some level. And then he decided to do this memorial race, and the level that he continues to build it to each and every year is just absolutely phenomenal.
Really, truly is an $85,000 plus purse just for the A main alone, let alone every heat race and everything else. It's just amazing what he did. And the guy that benefited the most from it, we're going to talk to him a little bit later on, Rico Abreu. It was Rico's third high limit win of the season, Ashley.
It was. Chris Wyndham led the first 20 laps, and he jumped the cushion, which allowed Rico a wide open door, and he took it and then sailed on to the finish. Obviously his 7th high limit win now. But I'm curious to ask Rico about the fudge that he gets in victory lane.
You got it. That's exactly right, because I saw on social media they had it all packaged up. And that was, if I was somewhere nearby, I'd have drove over just to see if Jeff would have given me a little fudge and then come back. So Rico got the win. Skylar G, his career best high limit finish, finished second, and Chris Wyndham is third. The World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars, they were at Wilmot over the weekend for 2 stops. Friday night, man, oh man, Ashley, did Carson Macedo put a whooping on the field.
He sure did. He led the entire race and won by 6 seconds and lapped up to 9th place. Macedo's 3rd straight Wilmot win and his 38th career series win with the World of Outlaws.
Yeah, Carson Macedo picked up the win. Buddy Kofoid was second, and David Gravel was your podium. And Saturday night, well, school was in session, Ashley. Saturday night, lap traffic school was in session because the master, Donny Schatz, taught him that lesson in lap traffic.
What an incredible deal. I know at one point before the caution fell, he had a 5-second lead. So just absolutely insane the way he split some of those race cars. It's probably something, not probably, it's something I would have never done, the way he was dodging those cars left and right. He took the lead on lap 10 and checked out basically from there. It is his second Badger 40 win and his third World of Outlaw win of the season.
You know, we talk a lot about David Gravel or Carson Macedo with 38 wins. Donnie has 314 wins. That's like, you know, Carson is like 8.5 or 9% of the number of wins that Donnie Schatz. That's unreal to me. That is unreal to me. Schatz, Carson Macedo. So Carson had a good weekend up there, Sheldon Haudenschild. Other winners, Ashley, Mark Smith took the weekend sweep up at Lernerville. How about that? Good to see. And he's been driving for Ron Rutherford. He's been driving for a bunch of different people. He drove an M1 car. I just think that you got to have Mark Smith in an M1 car if he's going to be in victory lane.
I mean, it makes sense, right? Why would anybody else, why would he drive anything else? I mean, I understand why he would, but the chances of that happening are minimal, right?
Yep. Another driver that had a good weekend was Scott Boguski. Picked up the win at Jackson on Friday night and Huset's on Saturday. That's the third win in about 10 days for him because he won Knoxville the week before. Justin Sanders picked up the win of the Howard Kading Classic out at Ocean Speedway, and it's his fifth NARC win of the season. Ashley, Austin McCarl picked up the win. We're getting closer and closer at Knoxville, and his was a drag race to the finish with the madman, Kerry Madsen. Pretty cool stuff.
It was, and like you said, we're getting close to the Knoxville Nationals, right? We always know that the McCarl family is so strong and so stout at Knoxville. It'll be interesting to see how everything weighs out when all the big guns show up in just a few weeks.
No doubt, it is going to be awesome. And the final result, I just want to reference this. When Blake Hahn picked up the ASCS Elite Outlaw Series race at Texarkana 67, Texarkana 67 is the track that Tim and Laura Crawley have taken over. And like a lot of promoters, they've dealt with the good and the bad, the weather, the rain. And Tim is one of my favorite follows because you never know you're going to get singing karaoke or about crying riding a grader with a racetrack that's all soggy and wet. Laura posted pictures this weekend of a grandstand that was full and overflowing. And so kudos to Tim and Laura for a great night down there. Lori down there, a great night. And Blake Hahn picked up the win. So I just thought that was fantastic down at Texarkana 67. And Ashley, the final little note that we have here, the news of the day impacted sprint car racing, impacted our Lernerville family, if you will. If you've been following along, the assassination attempt of former President Donald Trump on Saturday evening out in Western Pennsylvania, the victim was Corey Comperatore. I'm butchering that last name, and Corey was a member of the Lernerville Speedway safety crew for more than 20 years. Sold 50-50 tickets for the Butler Township Fire Department. Ashley, once in a while we talk about maybe one of our sprint car family that passes or something bad happens. This was the real world happening, and unfortunately Corey was literally in the line of fire when that happened.
Yes, it gives me goosebumps. I'm rubbing my arm here as we talk about it. Unfortunately, it is sad that something like this has happened, especially to one of our own that has nothing to do with racing. But it has been cool to see the incredible outpouring of love. I know there was a GoFundMe started by his neighbor to help with his the girls and whatnot there with the family, and they raised over $1 million within 24 hours. So it's been absolutely incredible, the outpouring that we've seen.
Yeah, so our hearts are with his immediate family, but our hearts also Friday night when everyone rolls into Lernerville, our hearts are with the family there because there's going to be one missing member of the sprint car family. So our thoughts, prayers, and concerns are with everybody involved up there. So the game plan for today is we're going to step away. When we come back, we'll catch up with Rico Abreu. Later in the program, Donny Schatz joins us here on Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit.
Tony, do you even remember how to drive one of these?
It's not something you forget. You should know that. The drive to succeed, the need to win, the desire to be a champion. And we surround ourselves with partners that believe the same. Like Tony Stewart Racing, Sage Fruit strives to be the best in all they do. They work hard on the farm, in the packing facilities, and with their retail partners to provide high-quality apples and pears all year long.
You can compare apples to apples, but nothing compares to a Sage Fruit apple.
Winning quality in every bite.
Welcome back. It is Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit. Let's go to the Sage Fruit Hotline. Joining us fresh off from a trip to Victory Lane, this time in Portsmouth at the Dean Niddle Memorial Race, Rico Abreu joins us. Hello, Rico. How are you?
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me on, Steve and Ashley.
It is great to catch up with you. I want to talk a lot about the race, but I want to start like we started our show. Jeff Niddle and the effort he puts forth in that race in honor of his father. Rico, it's got to be a thrill to win a race working alongside of a guy like Jeff, as you racers do, that puts so much passion into something that means so much to him.
It is, and I really think it needs to be spoke about more. We don't, us drivers and teams, it's very, very fortunate to be able to go to an event like Jeff puts on there at Portsmouth, and where everybody benefits from it, and it's benefiting financially, where he's pumping a bunch of money into the event, and I think that's really, really cool, and it's a lot of work, and I know he starts a year ahead of time for the following year, and he's very very disciplined about his promotional direction with the event each year, and pumping it up, and you don't see a lot of that in our sport, and I think that's very, very unique and allows him to get his event to grow and grow each year. So it's really cool. I know his passion. His family is very heavily involved, and it's a big deal. Putting on an event, a race like that for a family member that has had so much passion for racing, and it's just trickled down to where they're at now. And I just think that you race a little bit harder when you're there and racing in front of people that special that come to the sport and mean so much. It's a big deal to win one like that.
Rico, you talk about that passion. Obviously, the Niddle family has that. I want to talk about, you won $25,554, but I want to talk about that start money, $1,245 to take the green flag in the A main. How important is that to you as a racer, knowing that you're at least going to make that much starting a feature?
Yeah, I think it goes a long ways for a lot of teams. That's a good chunk of money for a team that especially locally races and doesn't get to compete for that kind of start money every weekend at their local track. And I know it can be difficult at times for some of these local tracks to put up big purses, and it goes a long ways for these teams, especially for the cost of our sport, and things just keep getting more and more expensive. So to get to race for that kind of start money, what was really impressive to me is, it paid $25,000 to win, but it was $10,000 plus for second, and it was, I believe, $9,000 for third. And so that podium Saturday night was, you had a good chunk of the purse right there, and then it funneled down from there. So it was, Jeff does, like I said, Jeff does an amazing job. His family, High Limit, just the promotional side of the event, they had a great crowd. I know everybody did great with merchandise sales that I heard and asked. Unfortunately, I didn't bring my merchandise trailer to the race just because we were a little behind on preparation for 4 days at Eldora, but I was the last one to leave the pit area, just with exchanging interaction with the fans afterwards, and that was really exciting to see everybody come down and get to see all the fans after the race. It was pretty heartwarming, definitely.
Rico, let's talk a little bit about the season on the racetrack. Okay, you've got 3 wins in High Limit. You have a World of Outlaw win. Your performance as we go into some really big events. Where are you guys at? Where are you and Ricky at with this race car?
We got a good amount of confidence for sure going into these big races. We've definitely had some up and down struggles this year, and I think it's really allowed us to work together and hunker down and understand each other's personalities through the ups and downs. I feel that that's really what has shown my team internally the integrity behind the doors of Rico Abreu Racing. And I think, working with Ricky through kind of these slumps and understanding where the issues are in our team, not at the racetrack, I think that the communication side of things has been really, really good. And we've been working to get our engine program, a little bit better. And I think that has come a long ways in the last few weeks here for us, and trying to pick up our qualifying efforts and more consistency there. So it's definitely been, I want to say, a struggle this year for us, but it's allowed us to work through a lot of issues and educate ourselves on just, things that could get you off in, and I'm going to say this and it sounds crazy, but in quarter-inch increments. And it's allowed us to really work through things and be able to sort some stuff out and get better for these big events that are coming up.
Obviously, it's all about fine tuning. The win this past weekend, rolling into Eldora, couldn't have happened at a better time. That being said, we know Eldora has been changing, it seems, yearly as of late. Where does Eldora rank on your list? Is it a track that you enjoy going to? Is it one that you're not fond of? Knowing that it's up there in High, Wide, and Handsome, I'm sure it fits right into your wheelhouse. But how do you feel about Eldora?
I really love going to Eldora. What I love most about it is just the history and how difficult it is to win there. And I'm very, very passionate about, what Earl Baltus has created there to what Tony Stewart has taken it to the next level. I see a lot of resemblance in Eldora Speedway similar to my family history, where it's come from, a blue-collared worker to get it from 0 to 100. And then Tony Stewart taking it from 101 to 200. And I see a lot of resemblance in just the infrastructure of how the business is ran at Eldora to get it to the next level, to what Tony Stewart has done there. And it's an amazing place, and it's very difficult to win at. I study the place like no other, and I think about racing there a lot. I have a lot of passion for just being successful there. And I just feel that it's very, from day one, it's really suited my style of racing to allow me to win some races there. And I think I've worked really, really hard to just be consistent there and understand that, just having good consistency there over a period of a career, to understand that is just, it just takes one ticket to or one position change to put yourself in position to win a crown jewel there. And I feel we're getting closer and closer each year, and you can't just take anything away from that. And that's the biggest thing for me, is just consistently making sure I'm in position to win a crown jewel there, because I know how difficult they are to win just with the format change. And everything has to go perfect. So it's really, up to, my critical thinking out on the racetrack, my team, I just really sorting through those perfect adjustments to make sure that we're right there at the right time.
Rico, the format here, this is interesting because Wednesday and Thursday are high limit shows. You got a lot of money, the double downs, and then 100,000 to win. Friday, World of Outlaw show, 25 grand to win. Saturday, Kings Royal, $175,000 to win. Rico, you have 4 straight nights on the same racetrack. And I thought about this. I said, we don't do this anywhere but Knoxville. We don't even do it at Knoxville because of the split fields and Joker's Wild Night and everything. How do you approach 4 straight nights? Is it just continuing to build? Do you get a chance to try anything? How do you approach 4 straight nights on one racetrack?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to show up on kill, on your A game every time you get there. And I've never been so prepared. So I think you have to make sure that you have a solid points night the Wednesday, because the points are accumulated to Thursday night. It's high limit race. And then obviously the World of Outlaw event Friday and Saturday is 2 separate shows, and then Kings Royal Saturday. So Friday, I feel you can have open your window up to be a little more aggressive with your setup and balance and stuff on your car, to you don't have anything to lose for Saturday, and just learn how far you can push your car on Saturday. And you could do that Wednesday and Thursday as well. I mean, it's Eldora. Anything can happen, and I just think it's everything to put yourself in position on all 4 of those nights. I would be disappointed if I didn't go and win all 4 nights this year.
I love that.
I love it. That is a statement right there. If I've ever heard one, you're feeling that confident. I mean, that's incredible. I don't even know what to say. That's got me speechless right there.
I'm excited. I'm ready.
Really.
That's awesome.
That is fantastic. That really, truly is.
I want to jump off track with you because we always love to do this. And Rico, you're always fun to do it with. Obviously, in February, you married your longtime girlfriend, Megan. But you guys are always over the top extra, and I absolutely love it. Obviously, your Easter giveaways where you're riding around on a bunny suit, or when you're doing your Christmas cards with your big presents. Tell me, is that a Megan thing? Is that a you thing? Where does that extraness come from? Because I love it.
It's definitely a team effort. You know, we both need each other to get, you know, and we both feed off each other too. So it's we really enjoy it, and we really enjoy you know, just the interaction with the fans, you know, via social media and at track. And I think all that builds up. The biggest thing for me is to break that barrier of comfort for a race fan, to make sure that we're super approachable people. And, you know, Gus is a great balance for that, you know, for any fans that are insecure about that and having that perfect presentation for the fan when they come to purchase something merchandise wise, or just come to check out our car at the track. And there you build that up to make them excited to watch us race, excited to be at the event. I think it's such a big deal. These fans, they work so hard to come to these races, and you know, you want to make sure that they have a great experience. And I think that goes such a long ways in the vending area, at the race car, just their you know, just for the fans to understand drivers' personalities and have someone to root for. It's a competition for me. I create it as a competition, and that's what keeps it so driven every single day for me. And this is my livelihood. It's my business as well. So, you know, from the merchandising to the race team, to just having a perfect, like I said, presentation at the racetrack, from the trailer to the merch trailer to the car, and these fans that come and spend their hard-earned money. You know, you want them to buy something cool. You want them to be proud of what they're wearing, and have that style of, you know, the race fans love big and bright. So you got to give them big and bright. And that's the personality that I want to make sure that suits with myself and Megan and Gus, and, you know, and they have a great experience when they're at the races.
Final question, and most important question. How's Gus doing?
Gus is good. He just got a haircut today, so he's all cleaned up, ready to head to Eldora. We're going to get there early tomorrow morning. He's gets a little anxiety lately riding in the truck. We don't know why. We just think he's going through like we were terrible 2s. Now it's your terrible 3s, but he's great. The fans love him. He's so good with the race fans. You know, we just got really, really lucky. I try to give Megan a hard time about him, you know, getting another friend for him, but we're quite uncertain if we could get something so perfect as he is.
Oh.
That is so awesome. There's the phrase, "We don't deserve dogs." Boy, I'm telling you what, I see that with you with Gus. I see it with Dominic Scelzi all the time out there. And I have one that sits on my lap every time I sit down, tune on Dirt Vision, Flow Racing, or anything. That mutt is on my lap, and I don't even know what I would do if the dog wasn't.
He never has a bad day, that's for sure.
Boy, isn't that the truth? And we could all learn something from that. That is for sure.
I guarantee it.
Yep. Rico, always a pleasure. Look forward to catching up with you in real time up at Eldora this weekend. We appreciate the time. Congratulations on the success, and thanks for joining us here on Wing Nation.
Thank you, guys. Yeah.
There we go. Rico Abreu joining us here on Wing Nation. Stay with us. More. Donny Schatz joins us next, actually, here on Wing Nation.
Tony, do you even remember how to drive one of these?
It's not something you forget. You should know that. The drive to succeed, the need to win, the desire to be a champion, and we surround ourselves with partners that believe the same. Like Tony Stewart Racing, Sage Fruit strives to be the best in all they do. They work hard on the farm, in the packing facilities, and with their retail partners to provide high-quality apples and pears all year long.
You can compare apples to apples, but nothing compares to a Sage Fruit apple. Winning quality in every bite.
Welcome back. It is Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit. As we sat down to record this show, we communicated with Donnie and his people, Donny Schatz, and we weren't able to put this together, but Donnie wanted to talk to all the Wing Nation. He wanted to talk to all you race fans, and so just a little bit earlier this week, we caught up with Donny Schatz, and here is that conversation. We did it via Zoom call. Joining us fresh off from a win up at Wilmot on Saturday night with the World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars, Donny Schatz joins us. Hello, Donnie. How are you?
I'm doing good, guys.
Donnie, when we look at it, the story goes, it's the summertime of the year. Donnie's starting to get hot. Donnie's starting to get rolling. It's always good to get a win with the World of Outlaws, but how do you feel about it? How was that win? How did the car perform as we go into this busy week coming up?
Well, no little too late for any of that. I'll tell you, we haven't been very consistent. You know, obviously Saturday we had a awesome race car. That boils down to Friday night kind of playing around a little bit, and then Saturday, we kind of threw everything at it we knew and got ourselves qualified well. We rolled around all night long, and come feature time, it was kind of like old school slick days where you could roll through the middle and everything just responded the way it should. So like I said, no little too late. It is summertime. Things are starting to heat up, and the guy definitely wants to be in that position. But, now we'll see what happens come tomorrow. Go to Attica. We want to be consistent, and we just need to be more consistent if we're going to be racing for a championship. So it's always good to get a win, but the guys are digging 24/7. They're going for it, and that's what you got to do when things aren't right. You gotta just stay on top of things and keep going. So there's been a little reward, but I feel like there needs to be a lot more.
Donnie, will you explain that a little bit more in depth? Obviously, going from one night to not being where you want to be to the next night winning. Obviously, you're going back to last year's notes. Have things changed that drastically, or are you trying new things when you're rolling off the trailer for the first night so you can get better the second night? What's really going on there?
When you mention notes, that's the thing that's the denominator that gets all messed up is we can't go off of anything. The last 4 years with the way the Ford motor program is and the way that things run, and we've made so many changes that we can't do those same things. We can't even do the same thing today we did a year ago. And we're going to places like Wilmot where we've had good finishes and unloaded that way Friday and just weren't very good. If you look back at 2-day shows, two of this year's 2-day shows, we've capitalized on the second day, Peevely being the first one, and obviously Wilmot. So we just have to learn from what we did from one night to the next and, take bigger swings at it. Realistically, the notebook is kind of useless for us at the moment. What we're looking for is a baseline where we can unload every night and be halfway close and adjust from there. And, like I said, the 2-day shows have been great for us. So looking forward to the 4 days coming up here at Eldora, because that was another 2-day show where we were decent the second day. So we just got to learn from what the car tells us, what I feel, the changing conditions, and guys are doing a great job of that. So I'm looking forward to hopefully getting a bunch of races in here this week.
Donnie, we're glad you got the win on Saturday night, and we want to talk a lot about Eldora, Attica coming up as well. But you mentioned something in Victory Lane. This was the Larry Hillrud Memorial up there. I'm the newbie in sprint car. That doesn't mean anything, but obviously it means something to you. Tell us about Larry and why it meant something for you to win that race.
Well, Larry Hillrud is, when I was a kid, and my dad took me to the Knoxville Nationals. Larry Hillrud was a race driver, and he, my father knew who he was because he grew up 40 miles from him. He was a North Dakota boy, grew up in the Towner area, and they had some mutual friends. And back then, when you're 8-10 years old and you see someone that is from your native state, maybe it doesn't resonate as much then as it does today. Larry was a race driver, and ultimately hung up the helmet to be one of the key factors in SLS Promotions, who's put on and promoted a lot of sprint car races over the years. So Larry passed away here a year or so or better, and him and my father grew up together. And I think anytime you take, they grew up around each other. I shouldn't say they grew up together. You take two guys that love the same thing. They both loved racing, and then you have, different opinions of things. You get two guys that are passionate about something with two different paths. So there was a lot of camaraderie between those two. And I think that's just I think it's a North Dakota native thing. So Larry's very, like I said, very passionate, very well respected. And, knowing that Larry's family were there, his wife Sharon and his daughter and all their kids and grandkids, there was a lot. So anytime you can capitalize on a memorial race, which none of us want to have these memorial races, but it's the one thing that's certain in life is we're all going to go at some point, and heck, some of us might have a memorial named after us. You never know. But it was pretty neat to do. And so that's why I referenced, maybe my father and Larry are up there arguing about something, because when you take two guys that were that vintage in racing, they're never going to agree on anything. They're definitely going to collide in a nice fashion anyway.
And no doubt about it. And like you said, the memorial races are key. And then the great thing about it is like these classics that we have, like the Keith Kaufman Classic, the Brad Doty Classic, obviously happening tomorrow night, Tuesday night. What does it mean? Because obviously Brad also well rooted in the sport, being able to race in his honor, even though he didn't get to go out and racing in his own terms.
Absolutely. Brad's done well to build an event like he has, and Brad works awful hard at it. It's a shame it's only one time a year, but it is what it is. It's we're happy for Brad to race in his honor. I've had the great honor of winning it a few times, and Brad was also an up and comer when I was a child watching him. I remember when racing, and I remember when he got hurt, and obviously he was fortunate enough that it didn't take his life, but it put him in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. So he's managed to navigate that hurdle quite well, and now he has his name attached to probably one of the most predominant races in Ohio, and at one of the racetracks where I feel like racing's pretty sporty around there. So we're looking forward to it. Always do. There's always a lot of fans and always a lot of hype, and anytime you can build an event, I mean, that's what we all look forward to. Is there's hype from all sides. When there's hype from the racers to the hype to the fans to the local communities that they benefit, it's real cool to see. I call it full circle, and I think it's pretty neat to be a part of it.
Still good, that's for sure. A four-time winner of the Brad Doty Classic. Get there on Tuesday night and then roll into Eldora. Donnie, you had the chance, and you referenced it when you talked about back-to-back nights. Let's Race 2. You finished third on the first night, second on the second night. What'd you find at Eldora? 2024 Eldora. What are the challenges? What does your car need to do when you hit the ground running up there for 4 straight nights?
Well, we've changed our race cars up a little bit since then. The package that we brought there before, we're not going back there with for this week. We think we've got better stuff. We think we've changed things to make it a little bit better. I think we had a decent car. I think it was pretty evident the Saturday night when we were there. David beat us obviously because of the restart, and I think that was just me not keeping enough air in the tires on the yellows, trying to keep them aired up. Because once we got racing on the long runs, then I could build up air pressure and I could get stuck pretty good. So, all those things are going to come into play this week. Different race car. We're going to unload there just like we have been with the car we've been running the last several nights and see how things go. And Lord be willing, we'll have 4 straight nights of racing. And obviously there's a lot of money on the line. So that's the name of the game. The bills get paid with big checks. So we've been fortunate enough over the years to get our name on a few of those. And there's another great week in front of us to give us plenty of opportunity. That's all we can ask for.
Obviously, Tony Stewart owns Eldora Speedway. Is there any extra pat on the back when you win at Eldora because it's his home racetrack or his racetrack? Do you get extra, a hell yeah, an attaboy because you win at Eldora?
No, it's exactly the opposite, to be real honest with you. It's crazy because everybody thinks because your car owner owns the racetrack that you have inside information on track prep, or you have inside information on this, or it's exactly the opposite. I can tell you, anybody is a stickler on parking to make sure you're in your spot, it's that 15 rig that Tony owns by Tony's people. So I guess it's no different anywhere you go, but it almost feels like you're under scrutiny when you go to the car owner's track. And, sometimes a person who works for him in one division tries to prove a point to the other that we hold everybody to the same standard. So that is neat to see, but we don't get any added, any added pressure. We don't get any added anything. And I actually spoke to Tony yesterday. He was pretty somewhat dejected that he said this is the first time since he's owned the racetrack that he will not be at the King's Royal. And I said, well, there's retirement for you. You retired from one job to get a bigger job. So it's his own fault, but he'll obviously be watching.
Yeah, he's got a lot on his plate, that's for sure, no doubt about it. Donnie, when we have a weekend like this, and we talk about 4 straight nights, and I'm never, I kind of want to talk about Wednesday and Friday. There's $100,000 on the line Thursday night, and $175,000 in a King's Royal crown on the crown on the crown on Saturday night. The other nights, is there a tendency or is there a desire to maybe try something there, knowing that the second night is where the big check is?
Me and the TSR guys had that discussion this morning. Because ultimately, when you take a look at what we're ultimately trying to do here is win a World of Outlaw championship, and it comes down to Friday's basically the only night that is World of Outlaw full points. So we want to make sure that even though it doesn't pay anything. The first 2 nights don't really mean anything. I guess Wednesday does set up for Thursday, but the way we race all year long, when you go to all World of Outlaw races and trying to win a championship, you always try to do the right thing, looking at it from a points perspective. But 3 of these 4 nights this week are not. They're ultimately all about the money. So I guess in today's environment, the way everyone races, they look at these race cars like they're tear-offs. They're throwaway expendable items. So if you're going to go for the money, it's an expendable item. I can't say I've ever had that in the back of my mind, that a person should race that way. But 3 of the 4 nights being that way, I guess it might come into play. I guess you just have to see where, what scenario we're in, where you're at. I mean, if you're going to wreck stuff for running 13th or 10th, that's kind of silly. But if you're running second or third and you're going to put yourself in a bad spot to try to win the race, then it's probably justifiable. But all in all, it's going to be a different, unique scenario, and hopefully we can capitalize on Friday and try to gain some championship points, and obviously capitalize on all that money that's on the line Thursday and Saturday.
No doubt about it. Spoken as a good, true racer, but speaking of those expendable items, as a team owner, obviously your nieces, Layla and Amelia, are racing. Not only are you fielding cars for 1, but times 2. What has that been like? How are the girls doing? It looks like things are going pretty amazing there at DSR.
Yeah, it's been a challenge to keep up with financially. I think I keep getting reminded by my mom that there was a time when I thought racing 9 days in 7 was a normal thing. And so I try to slow them down a little bit. Guys, we don't need to race every day. We don't need to do this. But, I think in today's environment, it's easier to slow someone down than it is to speed them up. They're learning from every opportunity they get on the racetrack. They've had some great learning curves. Obviously, our off weekend, I got to go race with them 2 nights, and we got them both moved into run some 410 races. And I was, happy that they had good progress, and the cars rolled in the trailer at the end of the night, and they were, making good laps and experiencing things that we see every day. So, they're making progress. They seem to, both of them just seem to take to the late model a whole lot more because they're a little bit more on the gasser side. So the late model likes to be driven a little bit harder than the sprint car, and they both do a good job with it. So we're having fun with it. Like I said, it's a challenge to keep up with from all aspects. I don't think they realize that it takes a lot of moving parts and a lot of moving people to keep them going. But, they're doing their part to keep up the best they can. And, I'm trying to teach them to be unlike me in certain senses. Today's environment's all about social media and interacting in those ways. And I do it in person and all that, but it's hard for me to keep up with the social media world. So they live in that generation where that's huge, and they do a good job with it. So I'm enjoying it. But I'm not anywhere near ready for them to take my job yet. So they still got a ways to go, and they got a lot to learn, but the progress has been pretty decent.
That's great to hear for sure. It's funny you talked about Brad Doty going full circle. Now Mom's reminding you of Donnie wanting to run 9 races in 7 days. It's all about full circle, that's for sure. And welcome to life, I guess. Donnie, I want to step back one other big picture thing before we cut you loose here. World of Outlaws scheduled off the week around 4th of July, and then there was a change there, a shift there where you could go run some races. But you're in a scenario where you spend a lot of time in North Dakota. You fly back home in between races. We've talked to you. We've actually shared some of the food at Schatz Crossroad, video wise and everything else. But what was that like for the team to know that they had a block of time where they could regroup, catch their breath, do what they needed to do? From the team perspective, how important was that for you guys?
Well, I don't know that it's something that's super important. But when it was given, I think everybody capitalized on it. We've never had a weekend off, especially July 4th weekend. I mean, July 4th weekend from a promoter standpoint or a racetrack standpoint in this country is probably the premier weekend for any racetrack anywhere, no matter where it is. And when they told us they were going to give it to us, we were all like, absolutely, we'll take it. I guess I can't say I understand it from a business side. But I understand it from them trying to do the right thing, not only for the race teams, but for their own people who are traveling on the road, probably more so than what the race teams are. So it was definitely something I think I was looking forward to. I mean, just to be home on a Friday, Saturday. I got to go racing with the girls a couple times, but it got cut a little bit short because they put Beaver Dam in there on the makeup. And, it is what it is. That was probably, they could have run that on a Thursday, but they ran it Wednesday and there was a day in between. So it worked out great. I don't know. It's probably not something that you'll see again. Maybe you will. I don't know. But the teams they're basically structured to be gone all the time. And at the last minute, obviously the Outlaws changed and said, "Hey guys, we've had enough rainouts. We're going to let you guys go run without it costing against you to your 4 races." And I think the only people you seen go anywhere were guys that were close to home. Obviously Logan went and raced a few times, and I think maybe Brock did, but for the Geo race Knoxville, because they're close to their shop. So I know my guys were super excited to hunker down and spend a little time at the shop. I got, one guy went back home to Northwest Iowa, and one guy went back home to Ohio, and Scuba stayed at home and with Molly and did a little softball traveling. So, and you know what I did? I was out racing. So when you don't know any better, you don't know any better.
True that. I mean, you got to capitalize on that. When you don't know any better, you don't know any better. Honestly, I mean, obviously you take the trip to Australia every year. Like, is there ever a vacation time for Donnie that you just go, we're going to, I don't know, wherever, to just be able to decompress completely?
I haven't gone to Australia since COVID hit. It's really what stopped me from going there. And I've been there one time on vacation, and I don't know that I'll get back to the race. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. That was really the only time to get away from it. Now that I've gotten away and spent my time at home in the winter, I truly do appreciate it. But what I'm pretty blessed. As you know, I come home a lot. I spend a lot of time at home. I think when you do this long enough, you probably sit here and say, it would just be nice to be home on a Friday or Saturday night. And then it happens. And you're sitting there on a Friday or Saturday night going, man, this is what I wanted. Now I'm sitting here going, where the hell can I go race? Or, it's always, I think you're always wanting something that's not out in front of you, or an expectation that's really not there. So I've learned you're going to get Fridays and Saturday nights off due to rain, due to this or that. And believe me, we've had a lot of Friday, Saturday nights off this year. So this wasn't the first one, and you enjoy it. But I learned to take my, Sundays and Mondays and Tuesdays, and I don't need to go anywhere or go on vacation. I haven't, it just really hasn't been in the cards for me. It's not something that I've looked forward to. Maybe that's what's wrong with me, is I need to just go on vacation somewhere. But I can unwind at home and put myself in a frame of mind where it's easy to sit on the couch some night and recharge for 7 days in a matter of a couple hours. So that I'm pretty blessed with that.
Man, you just sound, I'm so with you on it. I go, and I get a weekend off, and then it's like, where are the late models racing around the Carolinas? Who's doing what? So it's kind of the routine, kind of the lifestyle, that's for sure. Donnie, always appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us here. Oh, did you, by the way, have you got any of your sage fruit cherries? Did Chuck hook you up with any cherries this year?
Chuck hooked me up with apples. I don't do the cherries very well.
Oh, that's right. You told us that one time. Yeah.
Chuck always hooks me up with the apples, and my father used to like cherries, but I'm the apple guy. I don't eat them as much as I should, but God bless Chuck for doing that and his support in the sport, and just keep seeing that sage fruit name more and more all the time. It's unfortunate we won't be at the Sage Fruit Nationals in Washington, but that's way past my pay grade. So we'll see what happens.
No doubt. It is cool. Yeah. That's, I forgot. You had told me about the cherries. We all love the apples. He had sent the batch, and everybody was happy here. That's for sure. Donnie, always appreciate the time. Thanks for the conversation. We'll catch up with you in person this week up in Eldora, and we wish you well as you roll through this week.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you soon.
There we go. Donny Schatz joining us, driver of the Tony Stewart Racing Ford CarQuest Sage Fruit car. Stay with us. More Wing Nation in just a moment.
Tony, do you even remember how to drive one of these?
It's not something you forget. You should know that. The drive to succeed, the need to win, the desire to be a champion. And we surround ourselves with partners that believe the same. Like Tony Stewart Racing, Sage Fruit strives to be the best in all they do. They work hard on the farm, in the packing facilities, and with their retail partners to provide high-quality apples and pears all year long.
You can compare apples to apples, but nothing compares to a sage fruit apple. Winning quality in every bite.
Welcome back. It is Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit. Let's get to the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame birthday calendar later this week. Shane Carson, my old buddy. Shane Carson, Louis Meyer, Chuck Gurney, John Sawyer, Fred Loring. Today, Wally Campbell, Leland McSpadden, and George Doc McKenzie. Okay, George Doc McKenzie, the class of 1994 National Sprint Car Hall of Fame. Actually, he was born in 1906 to a family of physicians from Eddington, Pennsylvania. And it seems like to me, what I'm reading here, he took the whole Doc and colorful character thing to the full level.
Yeah, flashy uniforms, the Van Dyke beard, but obviously an incredible racing career to make it into the Hall of Fame. In 1935, it was his breakout year. He was the AAA Eastern champion with 19 wins. And then in 1936, unfortunately, it all went downhill, Steve.
Yeah, he had a crash in July at Reading, Pennsylvania, was in the hospital. Lord knows how this all turned out, and he got married while he was in the hospital. And then he came back in August of that year in Wisconsin and had another crash and unfortunately lost his life. And while we hate the sometimes gruesome and fatal history of sprint car racing, we love that we have a place, one sprint car place in Knoxville, Iowa, where the stories of George Doc McKenzie and others are contained. He is a member of that Hall of Fame. You can find out more information at www.sprintcarhof.com. That's sprintcarhof.com, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame. I know some of y'all may be going out there in a few weeks, or some little event, some little party going on out there. Make sure you make your time to stop at the Hall of Fame. Take a lap or two through the building, and make sure you stop at that gift shop as well. They are gearing up for a big time. I just saw this, and I'm having total brain fade. Pete Walton with USCS has a guy racing with him. I watched a guy run a race at Cherokee, and he's a doctor. He just graduated from medical school this spring, I think it is. And
the only thing I can think of is the Dr. Danny Johnson, but
Dr. Danny Johnson, no. And it's not Lance Moss. Okay, I know Lance is not a doctor. No, it's not Lance Moss. It's not Johnny Bridges. I know Johnny's I know Johnny's not a doctor either. But anyhow,
boys.
No, yeah, they are there, and that doesn't mean that means they are great people. They're just awesome. Some of our favorites down there. Before we get into what's happening Ashley has joined here. You know, it's kind of Aaron, Ashley, and myself, and we mix it up a little bit. Aaron is busy. Aaron is getting ready to be real busy. So much has been made with Aaron and Ray about the relaunch of IROC, and that's this weekend up at Lime Rock Park. Ashley, you know, I saw IROC races. It was big, and it didn't. It meant something to me, but it obviously is Ray's baby, and in turn Aaron's baby. They're going to have an exciting weekend. I can't wait to see how the IROC stories go as they tell the stories this week up in Lime Rock.
Yes, and I mean the nostalgia, right? Like that's what it all boils down to. And I was chatting with Erin earlier. It sounds like she's actually going to get to wheel one of these cars in an exhibition race as well. Yeah. She said her clutch is a little stiff, so I told her maybe she needs to talk to somebody other than her husband to work on that. But yes, so I'm extremely excited for them. What they've created over the years is incredible, and I have no doubt that this will be no different.
Yeah, Ken Schrader's going to be there, so you know there'll be stories and beer. You
Yeah.
know that'll be the case. Aaron had told me that one of the more fascinating things is like they contacted Mark Martin, and Mark wanted to get involved and wanted to be there. And the next thing you know, their entire marketing campaign is Mark Martin. They can't. She said, you wake up in the morning and Mark Martin's got a video about IROC. He's got this. He's coming to Lime Rock. I love that passion. That passion that Ray and Aaron and Mark and Kenny they have for the IROC series is what we as Wing Nation. It's sprint car love. It's our sprint car passion. And so we do wish Ray and Aaron the best this weekend and a great weekend up at Lime Rock. World of Outlaw and NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars. Ashley, tonight, our buddy Brad Doty is hosting them up at Attica Raceway Park. And then things move just a little bit over to Eldora, and they get busy there with 4 straight nights of racing.
Yes, Wednesday, Thursday is the Kubota High Limit Sprint Cars. Wednesday is the Double Down Duels for $12,000 to win each. And then Thursday is the Joker's Jackpot for $100,000, Steve.
Then they come back Friday and Saturday. It's the King's Royal weekend with the World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars. Friday, the night before in the Royal, $25,000 to win. Saturday night, the King's Royal, $175,000. Who is going to wear the crown? We'll see what happens. On Saturday night, I'm pumped up. I haven't been to the King's Royal in a few years, and I am headed that way. Going to get up there Thursday. I'm going to miss Wednesday night, but I'm going to be there Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And Wing Nation fans, don't be shy if you see me around there. Come up and say hey, and let's just chat a little bit. That reminds me of something that I need to do more often here. Just literally off the top, I had a guy come up to me at Hamlin Speedway and say, "Man, I'm sad Wing Nation has gone away." And I'm like, "You're sad Wing Nation has gone away? We haven't gone away." And he says, "Used to record you every week on MAV TV." Folks, do us a favor, spread the word. We're on YouTube. We made this decision months and months ago, and we just assume that everybody got the memo. I sometimes wonder if we're the only ones that got the memo. So do us a favor. If you love what we're doing on Wing Nation, you know, tell your friends, tell your buddies, hey, Wing Nation is on YouTube. Everybody's got it. I actually showed it. This is one of Butch Tittle's crew members. Okay. Otis is his name. And Otis is wheeling around one of those hover around carts and everything. I miss your show. I miss your show. And I said, well, it's right on your phone. And he said, I can't get, there's nothing on my phone to work. I said, let me see your phone, Otis. And I punched in YouTube. He said, oh, I've done that channel. That's where I've watched some videos on there before. I says, type in Wing Nation. In fact, let me type it in for you. I typed in Wing Nation channel, typed it in and saved it. And I said, your phone, you hit this button and you can watch Wing Nation. Later in the night, he told me he was already in the truck and watched an episode. So, yeah. So we're on YouTube, folks. We're on YouTube. Spread the gospel, spread the word. Really, really fun stuff. Good stuff. Other racing action, IRA and NOSA's, the King of Wings event. Thursday night, Norman County in Minnesota. Friday and Saturday, River Valley Speedway in North Dakota. Plenty of weekly racing action as well. So neat stuff. Ashley, always fun to hang out and talk with Rico Abreu and Donny Schatz. Boy, we talked to a couple guys that could get you're into crowns. You have a couple guys that could get a crown this weekend right there.
Yes, I know Donnie's looking to add another one and be the backup, or not the backup, but what is that? My words. The reigning champion again.
Reigning champion, yes. Defending and reigning champion, yes. Easy for you to say.
Yeah, right. And then we've got Rico Abreu who drops bombs saying he's winning all 4 races. So I think the likelihood of it being one of our guests today is quite confident.
He wins all 4 races, that place is gonna burn to the ground. They'll
Right?
need to they'll need to do, I don't know what they need to do. I mean, they're gonna have to go to Earl's original blueprints to rebuild it if Rico wins all 4 nights. My gosh, this is
They'll just call it
fantastic.
Rico's place from now on or something.
Yes,
I don't know.
exactly. Oh my gosh, imagine that. So great stuff, that's for sure. We do appreciate Rico. We appreciate Donnie for joining us, but more important than all of that, thank you for joining us this time on Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit.